Abraham Lincoln's family came from Virginia. In fact, when Thomas Lincoln, Abraham's father, moved over the Appalachians to present-day Kentucky with his family, this was still Virginia. It was the wild frontier, and tensions on the frontier were still pretty fierce with the First Nations. In fact, young Thomas saw his father, Abraham, President Lincoln's namesake, killed in a native ambush. Thomas Lincoln had to grow up pretty fast, and he did. He worked hard. He owned land. He was trusted in the community. He became a bailiff. At the time of President Lincoln's birth, Thomas owned a farm called Sinking Springs here in Kentucky. It's true that President Lincoln was born in a one-room log cabin. But that was pretty standard for living on the frontier. The Lincolns were comfortable. They weren't wealthy by any means, but their family wasn't suffering. They had a good farm, they had a good home. Unfortunately, when Lincoln was still young, the title to Sinking Springs was found to be a little bit in defect, and the Lincolns were forced off their land. They were displaced. Thomas Lincoln moved his family here to Knob Creek. It's a beautiful little valley between several freestanding hills called knobs. A small creek of fresh water runs right through this place. It was here that Thomas Lincoln carved out a life for his family. Life on the frontier was hard, but the Lincolns enjoyed the good times and endured the hard times together.
Abraham Lincoln was born in Hardin County, Kentucky. His parents were Thomas and Nancy Hanks Lincoln. His mother, Nancy, died when he was 9.
Losing his mother left a scar on Lincoln's heart. His father remarried a woman named Sarah Johnston. Lincoln referred to her as his angel mother. And in later life, he would say, "Everything I am or ever hope to be, I owe in large part to my angel mother." It was here in the Knob Creek Valley that Lincoln enjoyed the games of youth and running with his friends and the adventures that young men get into. It's here that he got his only formal schooling. 2 years of elementary school, walking 2 miles from his house with his sister, up and back. When school was over and the chores were done, his angel mother would sit by the fire with young Abraham at her feet, gazing into her face as she read to him the words of the Bible.
Lincoln was elected to the Illinois State Legislature in 1834 as a member of the Whig Party. He supported the Whig politics of government, supported infrastructure, and protective tariffs, which influenced his views on slavery. Lincoln became a lawyer in 1837 and began to practice in the John T. Stewart law firm.
In 1856, Lincoln joined the Republican Party, and in 1860, political operatives helped organize a presidential campaign for Lincoln. He received 180 of 303 electoral votes to win the election. His presidential cabinet consisted of William Seward, Salmon P. Chase, Edward Bates, and Edwin Stanton.
During the Civil War, Lincoln distributed $2 million from the Treasury for war supplies and called for 750,000 volunteers into military service. The first year and a half of war made the Union's chance of victory seem slim due to the lack of support and success. Their victory at the Battle of Antietam encouraged Lincoln in his quest to end slavery. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. Soon after, General Robert E. Lee surrendered his forces to Ulysses S. Grant, and the war was over.
In 1864, Lincoln was re-elected president. Following the election, he was opposed by a radical group of Republicans in the Senate and House that wanted complete allegiance and repentance from former Confederates. Before any more turmoil was sparked between Lincoln and his Confederate foes, he was assassinated on April 14, 1865, by John Wilkes Booth at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C.